Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to give you a guide for the final B5 battle in the Pearl Battle Tower. Rufus and Darkstar are the final boss of this month's tower, and while Rufus has no elemental weakness, Darkstar is weak to ice. And also back then during the original crash we got Ice Vincent who can apply ice weakness, and it made the battle a lot easier and faster. But luckily, this battle doesn't have a very high DPS requirement, so just get your physical ice DPS and you'll be fine, whether it's Tifa, Vincent, Cloud or Sephiroth. But as for the support abilities, you need physical defense buffs for your team, since Rufus attacks you with physical attacks, but also something to debuff his physical attack. And lastly, physical defense debuff for the boss. And I think Angel is great because he buffs physical defense and physical attack and can also debuff physical defense of all enemies, which you also need. And I also have Matt for heals and to debuff physical attack. Cloud is just as pure DPS, and Angel is also to tank all the single target heals, and I think with this team I have all those necessary buffs and debuffs and can also deal constant damage to the boss. But the battle is a bit similar to Remake's boss in a way that until you stun Rufus, he is linked with Darkstar, but here he has Provoke on himself, and until you deplete his gauge you cannot attack Darkstar. And the DPS check is that if you can deplete the force gauge in time to stun Rufus, then defeat Darkstar before the combined attack. And in this battle, you could survive it with increased HP and physical defense or reprieve, but it is intended to defeat Darkstar before they can hit you again, so that you are only left with Rufus. Matt has reprieve outfit with any limit break, and you could take Gigantic Shield in case your defensive buffs happen to expire just before an attack. The replaceable heals and P-attack buff, Slake BL to lower physical attack, Asuna Fatigue to cure the status that Rufus will apply, Cura for single target heals just in case, Triangle Sojo, and in sub-equipment slots Matt has a Gale weapon with physical defense for allies and a physical attack for allies weapon. Angel has own outfits, but any other outfit will be fine. Icy Judgment to buff ice damage, Store Integrity to buff physical defense of our team, Greatsword to lower physical defense of the boss, Triangle Sojo, Ice Breach Materia for Darkstar, and then sub-equipment slots. Angel has a Gale weapon with physical defense for allies and a physical attack for allies weapon. Cloud has Ice Arcanum outfit with Shiva, Stream Saber for DPS, Fusion for Exploit Weakness, 3 Ice Bouncy Materia, and in sub-equipment slots Cloud only has an Ice weapon with 62 physical attack, but for those other slots I recommend physical ability Ponzi weapons. Alright, the opening is quite fast because we'll get hit by both Rufus and Darkstar, so buff physical defense, debuff physical attack of Rufus because we can't target Darkstar, but first nullify it and then try to cast it again, so it is actually nullified, and with your DPS apply Exploit Weakness, and we can hit him once here. But with Angel, after you get physical defense buff, start debuffing physical defense of the boss, because you start the battle with +3 physical defense on Rufus and both Darkstar. So now we have to start focusing on depleting that gauge, but also that first attack, it was fatigue, and I'm actually not sure if I accidentally hit it, so kind of wasted AB, but it doesn't matter. Just if Rufus applies fatigue, just cure it, it's fine. And also dive bomb, you don't need provoke because it will always target the character with the highest max HP, so it'll always be Angio. And so right after this attack I should be able to deplete that gauge. So one more attack here, and we can target Darkstar. Just wait until Rufus actually gets stunned, so break, link, and now we can take care of Darkstar. So Ice Breach, and just keep attacking him. He has quite a lot of HP, so it'll take you a few hits, but in that time just try to make sure that you have all your buffs and debuffs, especially physical attack buff. It doesn't expire, but I want to hit Darkstar with double limit break, so get that Ice Bunsey buff. Perfect, and that also should give us enough time, but after this I'll have to apply all those defensive buffs and debuffs. But also it is just very important to finish off Darkstar before this combined attack hits you, because after you defeat Darkstar it will be just Rufus left and you'll do a single target attack instead. But this Ascendant Assault, they already have +3 fire potency or fire damage buff on them, so you really need to defeat Darkstar. Otherwise, at least in Crash back then, this attack would wipe the team. So that was kind of like a DPS check. But now it's just Rufus. And yes, after you defeat Darkstar, he will hit you a little bit harder. But don't worry. And also on those rapid reflecting lights, I recommend try switching to defense, because this attack actually hurts quite a lot. And you always do few attacks of that, so if you don't switch at all, you might have some trouble to recover. Alright, and begin reload. Always try to deplete this gauge. It is quite a fast attack, and if you don't stun him, he'll do, I think it was dive bomb, so that's why you always want to stun him to interrupt this attack so it never gets cast. And now the same thing, it'll be another reflecting lights and then sigil phase, and up in smoke, it's always fatigue. And so I think I'm just, yeah, let's do Diamond Dust. But also I am not going to use overspeed here, I'm just waiting for Angio's ice damage buff to then use overspeed for that big hit. And as you can see, another dive bomb, and it always targets a character with the highest HP, so it should always be your tank. I'm just going to cast PDF buff. And should be fine now. Alright, and if you want to break this really fast, if you don't have any triangle sigil boost slots, I just recommend activate overspeed on Matt or Angio and just break all those sigils very quickly. But I can maybe finish off the boss, we'll see. Yeah, I should be fine. Alright, let me just apply PDF debuff on the boss, and that should be less hit. but also Shiva would be ready. But yeah, Rufus has quite a lot of HP, mainly because he doesn't have elemental weakness. If you have Vincent, then you'll be doing a lot more HP and you can just damage to him, and you can just basically melt the boss with that added elemental weakness or ice weakness to the boss, which you can further debuff resistance. But yeah, even without Vincent, it was and still is very much possible. But yeah, that will be all, so good luck on your own clear, and I hope you found my guide helpful, and in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.